The Fed has saved the day. QE3 was a success. It allowed the economy to boom and everyone is just fine. Unemployment is down, the market is up, and everyone is celebrating. Of course, this is what the mainstream media is projecting. But you came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. QE3 is now over, but we have to get ready for QE4. This is directly from the Federal Reserve website statement regarding the purchases of Treasury securities and agency mortgage-backed securities. On October 29, 2014, the Federal Open Market Committee, FOMC, directed the Open Market Trading Desk at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York to conclude the current asset purchase program by the end of October. They said right there with all that jargon, QE3 is done. And that, of course, is on the surface level. They will always continue to print money behind the scenes. But let's just go with what they say. Let's read this fairy tale. Let's open the book up and we'll read from their book. We'll read from their pages and flip through and try to see what we can figure out. That's what I like to do, to analyze and dissect what they're saying. We know what's happening behind the scenes. They're never going to tell us about the $16 trillion bailout. They're never going to admit to it. They're never going to tell us who is getting this money, which banks, and we need to just realize that this is all a fraud. But let's go in just with what they're saying. QE3 is now over. Now, the time in between QE3 and QE4, that is the question. They will also mention in here that they need to accommodate, and that means interest rates being kept at near 0%. This is very important, and the quantitative easing is something that they can do behind the scenes, but the money printing is something that they can do behind the scenes, but the interest rates have to remain more public. So let's get on with this here. Right out of the Federal Reserve's website once again, they said this. It's actually quite funny, actually. I think this must be some sort of comedy writing. Economic activity is expanding at a moderate pace. Labor market conditions improve somewhat further with solid job gains and a lower unemployment rate. That's right. Everything is fine in the economy, just like I said at the beginning, as long as Obama comes out and says that it is okay, things are improving, yes we can, the public will be subdued. Now, even the fact that the Congress has an approval rating that's practically zero, Obama has an approval rating that continues to drop, and it doesn't really matter anymore, because as long as they keep projecting this image, the public is just too busy watching television to care. So this is right out of the Federal Reserve's website, suggesting why they ended QE3, because everything in the economy is just fine. I wrote about it in my book, basically talking about how they needed to, post financial crisis, they needed to start their QE programs. QE1 and QE2 were actually let me read this. The brief summary is as follows. Starting in 2009, they bought $1.7 trillion in bonds from the U.S. government. Now, that's prior to QE3 starting. Remember, I wrote the book before QE3 predicted it in there. They did this in order to boost the economy and the lagging employment statistics. You'll find out where you get the bonds from. Is pretty funny, actually, how they get this money to buy these bonds up. When they said at the beginning of this, I mentioned they're buying the asset-backed securities. Asset-backed securities are essentially just a whole bunch of garbage wrapped up in a nice little present with a bow on top, and they suggest that this somehow, by printing money out of thin air and then using it to purchase those asset-backed securities, is somehow going to stimulate the economy. I've never been able to figure this out. I've read several books, and many of them have not got into this topic of how you can buy garbage and somehow turn that into gold. It doesn't make any sense as far as I'm aware. This is out of CNBC. Wall Street is already thinking about a QE4. Now, we all knew that before. We know that there's going to be a QE4 and a QE5 and a QE6, but here they are talking about it. Many analysts actually are saying that it's only a matter of time before they have to engage in QE4, and I totally agree with that, because the economy can't stand like this. Now, I believe that Europe is going to have to engage in their own QE program, so at least for the time being, there is another set of countries that will be doing their own money printing, and this will keep the economy going, because you don't have to have simultaneous simultaneous money printing. They can just alternate between the two, and it will allow the markets to sort of fluctuate, the currencies to fluctuate. This is what happens historically, even just over the past few years. So if I go on out of the Wall Street Journal, number of the week, total world debt load at 313% of GDP, something that could, of course, never be paid back. You cannot pay over 100%. It's just such a fraud. It's so fake. And right here at the bold portion in the bottom, $223 trillion. That's the total indebtedness of the world, including all parts of the public and private sectors. Once again, cannot be paid back. When they make you think that they can pay it back, they are lying to you right in your face. It is way beyond any government can afford right now. And are they including unfunded liabilities? Are they including all the off-balance sheet things? I assure you they're not. So you could read the article for yourself. But I just wanted to connect that with this. Total world debt is about to go through 100 trillion. This is USD credit to non-financial firms, households, and governments. Whichever numbers you want to use, whichever statistics you want to use, we're talking about numbers that are so astronomical for the time being, they can't be paid back. So how exactly is this going to work? How are they going to go into more and more debt? Will this system be able to continue like this? Are they able to go into a QE4, 5, and 6? Without completely eradicating the dollars? And the fact remains is that they're going for these policies, and I'm not willing to risk my money. I'm not willing to risk my savings, my wealth. I need that money to be passed down to future generations. I need to keep a solid foundation now because their policies are insane. So whether or not this currency does collapse in the near future, we know that they're heading in that direction. I believe they will. But why take the risk? That's what I try to promote here. Individuals need to realize this. They need to really understand this. If we're going in that direction, we're heading off the cliff. Why wait until we're already off the cliff before you decide to jump out of the car? Jump out now while you still have a chance. That means putting your money into real assets, real things, and getting out of this banking system. It's already burning down. The house is burning down. Why do you need to wait for the fire trucks to come and rescue you? Just run out the front door while you still have a chance. This is Lacey Hunt, and he's quoting the Austrian economist saying, debt is an increase in the current spending in lieu of a decline of future spending. And what I have to say about this is a lot of the Keynesian economics, actually, what these economists, what they say is that, look, we're going to spend money now. This is Nouriel Roubini. I read his book, and he basically says, look, we have a big problem. There's way too much debt, and we know the solution. It's to print money now and then fix everything later. That's the solution that he provides. You know, when you go to Davos, the World Economic Forum, when they have all these all the big boys in the money system, they come together and they say, look, we'll set up this thing. It'll be $100 trillion. It'll be the big bazooka that they've been wanting all their lives. And we'll just inject that into the economy. It'll fix everything. And then later on, we won't print money. And this never works because there's always a new cycle of elections that people need to, you know, the Obama and whoever's next, Hillary after, whoever, they need to boost up the economy because they want to be voted in, of course. And especially with the second-term president, they really have a desire to get in there. So you're looking at really something that's being skewed at the moment. I just wanted to mention this specifically because what we're seeing in the news, what we're seeing with the economic factors are obviously a detriment to the real economy. This right here, the Bank for International Settlements, talking about the OTC derivatives, over-the-counter derivatives. Now this is at the end of June 2013. You can always get the new figures here, but what I wanted to say is that in this document, they quote $700 trillion of derivatives. Now, I've, in my book, quoted them talking about 1.5 quadrillion derivatives. But does it even matter when it's let's say 10 to 25 times greater than the GDP of the world. And these GDP statistics, as we know, for example, in Europe, are including prostitution, they're including drug activity, and then you look at the fraudulent statistics of how the US goes from a negative to a positive multiple percent in 1 quarter with no changes in the economy whatsoever. The GDP statistics are fake. So then you have this maximum debt of the derivatives, and it's 10 to 25 times greater than this fake GDP number. It's so fake. It's so fraudulent. When I tell you it's going to collapse, these information here is sensational. The titles that I use on my video, they're sensational because the information is sensational. Look at how we're headed right for this collapse, and I have to come out here and scream in everybody's face to hope that they will listen, and I hope that you do. I know that you do because you're always commenting, you're always agreeing for the most part, and I appreciate that. I just wanted to say, I appreciate all the time any constructive criticism, comments, all the kind words that you're giving me. I get emails all the time coming through thanking me, telling me that they bought my book. They're asking for the consultations as well. This is excellent. I really appreciate all of this because the fact remains is that we have a very desperate future ahead. Things are going bad right now. As I said, the building is burning down, but we have the chance to run out. Now is the time. Get your education going, create your own videos, talk to your friends and family, make the preparations. If you have a little bit of funds, buy the storable food, get your escape plan going, get a water filter, all the basics, get your money out of the financial system most importantly, because we can defund these criminals. If you found this informative, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the videos. It is very important. If you're watching this, get on the subscription here. I post pretty much every single day, and I hope that you'll get on there. And of course, don't forget to become an insider. The Insiders is where I give it all my best intel for free, and that is available at themoneygps.com. Scroll down to the bottom, fill in your email address, and you get occasional emails from me with good, short, concise info.